If you were a wild mountain girl and your greedy aunt suddenly shipped you off to be a rich man's daughter's new plaything, what would you do? This girl just wanted to run barefoot through the Alps and hang with her grumpy grandpa, but now she's stuck in a mansion where every smile hides a secret and every lesson comes with a price. I'm going to break down exactly how Heidi turns the tables, exposes the lies, and finds her way back to freedom in Heidi. The story begins with a young orphan girl named Heidi. She has been living with her aunt, but her aunt can no longer care for her. So she takes Heidi to the mountains to leave her with her grandfather, Alpohi. The townspeople fear Alpohi, believing he once committed a murder. But the truth is far more complicated than they know. Despite the rumors, Heidi's aunt brings her to his remote home without hesitation. While climbing the mountain, Heidi feels restricted by her stiff dress. She removes it for comfort and begins enjoying the scenery. When they arrive at Alpohi's house, he refuses to take her in. But this woman has other ideas. She pretends to leave with Heidi, but secretly abandons her and escapes. Realizing Heidi has been left behind, Alpohi tries to stop her, but she ignores him. Angry, Alpohi locks himself inside and leaves Heidi outside. With no place to go, Heidi finds shelter in the barn and sleeps beside the goats. The next morning, Alpohi gives her goat's milk for breakfast and takes her to the village priest. The priest checks her health and confirms she is fine. He tells Alpohi it is now his responsibility to care for her. Alpohi refuses, but fate has other plans for both of them. The priest asks for 3 days to see if any local farmers need a helper. Back home, Alpohi allows Heidi into the house, but everything is designed for one person. She finds a pile of hay, makes a bed for herself, and settles in. The next day, Heidi meets Peter, a boy who comes daily to take Alpohi's goats to graze. Eventually, Alpohi sends Heidi with Peter, giving her bread and cheese for lunch, but someone else has their eyes on it too. Heidi enjoys being outdoors. During one outing, Peter secretly eats part of her lunch. When Heidi notices, Peter blames the goats. 2 goats start fighting, and Peter separates them with a stick. Heidi disapproves and makes him promise never to hit them again. In return, she agrees to share her lunch. Peter asks her to keep their arrangement secret because he fears Alpohi, and what he's really afraid of might surprise you. At home, Heidi starts behaving differently toward Alpohi and insists on sleeping in the barn. He realizes she has heard the rumors about him. Calmly, he tells her to decide for herself whether he is capable of such things. Heidi chooses to trust him, runs to hug him, and begins sleeping in the attic. But he has no idea that everything is about to change. The next day, Heidi goes out again with Peter and the goats. Meanwhile, Alpohi begins working on a wooden craft. When Heidi returns, she finds a second chair at the table. Alpohi tells her she can stay permanently. She becomes excited. Over time, she wins over Alpohi and forms a close bond with Peter. Feeling more at home, she cuts her hair short. But comfort has a way of making things complicated. One day, Peter tells her he must start attending school and won't be able to play until spring break. He invites Heidi to visit his house anytime. This makes Heidi want to go to school too, but Alpohi doesn't send her. He knows winter will make travel to town impossible. As winter sets in, Heidi grows restless from staying indoors. To cheer her up, Alpohi carves a wooden bird toy, but it doesn't help much. He then builds a sled to navigate the snow and takes her on a ride, which lifts her spirits. Afterward, he drops her off at Peter's house. At Peter's home, Heidi meets his mother and grandmother. They are struggling financially since Peter's father died, but his mother is determined to continue his education. After spending the day there, Heidi returns and hugs Alpohi, realizing how fortunate she is to have him. But that feeling won't last for long. Time passes and Heidi continues living with her grandfather. Life is stable until her aunt unexpectedly returns. She claims to have a job now and says she can take care of Heidi. Alpohi doesn't believe her, but pretends to let her go. And surprise, surprise. Instead of leaving, the aunt secretly looks for Heidi. She finds Heidi playing with Peter. When Heidi refuses to go with her, the aunt lies and says that Alpohi also wants her to leave. Trusting her grandfather, Heidi agrees to go. When Peter returns with the goats, Alpohi realizes what's happened and rushes to town. But he arrives too late. The aunt has already taken Heidi to Frankfurt. They reach a large mansion. Heidi is introduced to the staff, but the governess disapproves of her appearance and behavior. The aunt reminds the governess that they specifically requested an orphan. Heidi is meant to be a companion to Clara. the homeowner's daughter, who cannot walk, but Heidi has no idea how intense this house truly is. Heidi begins spending time with Clara and accidentally breaks a vase while pushing her wheelchair. Clara covers for her. Since Heidi is to stay, they clean her up and start training her on how to behave in the house. She also begins studying with Clara. When it's discovered that Heidi cannot read or write, the governess wants to send her away. However, she must wait until Clara's father returns. In the meantime, she orders the professor to teach Heidi. Heidi quickly learns the house rules but keeps some habits from her old life. She hides extra bread in her pocket when no one's looking. Over time, she becomes close to Clara. Clara shares that she stopped walking after her mother's death. One evening, Heidi asks a servant named Sebastian to open a window so she can see the mountains. But all she sees are city buildings. Sebastian explains she needs to be higher up to see them. And to absolutely no one's surprise, Heidi takes his words literally. She sneaks out of the house with Clara. Clara is excited to be outside for the first time. They go to a city tower and Heidi climbs alone, hoping to see the mountains. But again, she only sees more buildings. While Heidi is climbing the tower, Clara becomes anxious but then gets distracted by a man selling kittens and decides to buy some. Back at the house, everyone panics when they realize the girls are missing and rush to the market to find them. Sebastian eventually locates them, and Clara hides the kittens under her blanket before they return home. And that was her biggest mistake. Before the governess, Fräulein Rottenmeier, can scold them, she starts sneezing due to her cat allergy. A kitten jumps from Clara's lap, startling Fräulein, who climbs onto a pole out of fear. During lunch, she punishes Heidi by making her face the wall and warns her of harsher consequences next time. This is not a bluff. Feeling ashamed, Heidi gathers the bread she had been saving and tries to leave the house. Fräulein catches her and scolds her for being ungrateful, insisting she should appreciate the comfortable life she now has. But Heidi is more concerned about Clara, who has been crying. After the incident, Clara's health worsens, and Heidi feels responsible. Once Clara starts to recover, Heidi visits her and explains that she wasn't leaving because of her. Clara resumes her daily routine, including studying. A few days later, Clara's father and grandmother arrive. Clara is happy to see them, but Fräulein is displeased. Clara's father is relieved to see Clara happy with a friend and feels confident in his decision. Fräulein tries to convince him otherwise, saying Heidi is unruly and distracted, but Clara's grandmother decides to assess the situation herself. That night, she reads Heidi a bedtime story, but leaves it unfinished, hoping Heidi will be motivated to read the rest. But she has no idea how far Heidi will take this challenge. Heidi admits she doesn't like studying because Peter once told her it's pointless. The grandmother advises her to think for herself and not blindly accept others' opinions. Because Heidi enjoys stories, she decides to learn. The next day, the grandmother tells Clara's father that Heidi is kind-hearted but doesn't belong in the city. However, he believes Heidi's presence has helped Clara's health and doesn't want her to leave. But this decision is about to be tested in a way no one saw coming. As time goes on, strange noises begin to come from the house, and they're not just creaky floorboards. Servants also notice that the front door is often left open, but who or what is opening it? Meanwhile, Heidi works hard to finish reading the story and eventually learns how to read. She reads it aloud in front of everyone, proving her progress. Clara's father is impressed and feels Heidi can stay. Still, Heidi doesn't seem completely happy. Clara's grandmother eventually leaves. That night, while Clara's father's playing chess with a friend, they hear the same strange noises. His friend investigates, thinking a thief may have broken in, but what they find instead is far more unsettling. It turns out Heidi is sleepwalking. She leaves her room, opens the front door, and stares at the sky, just like she used to do while watching goats in the mountains, before quietly returning to her bed. This isn't just sleepwalking. The doctor examines Heidi and finds her shivering from the cold. He diagnoses her with homesickness and warns that her health will worsen if she isn't sent home soon. Despite this, Clara's father remains hesitant about sending Heidi away. The next morning, he informs Clara about Heidi's condition and explains that she must return to the mountains. Clara reacts by locking herself in her room. Heidi is glad to go back home, but is concerned for Clara. She tries to speak to her, but Clara refuses to open the door. Before leaving, Heidi gives Clara's father a wooden bird that Alps had carved for her. She also promises Clara that she will visit again. Fräulein Rottenmeier believes the house will now be peaceful, but she quickly spots a kitten. The cook decides to keep it and names it Heidi. Heidi returns to Alpahi's village, where the townspeople are happy to see her. She goes straight to Alpahi, but life has changed. He now sends her to school, and during winter they live in a house in town. Heidi's new teacher is supportive, making learning easier. Her routine settles, and she finally gets the stable life she wanted. Even though Heidi's happy, she still misses Clara. She writes letters to her, and Clara feels sad reading them, realizing she never said goodbye. Noticing Clara's sadness, her grandmother decides to take her to visit Heidi, but she doesn't know this is about to change their lives. When Clara and Heidi reunite, they are both overjoyed. Clara's grandmother agrees to let Clara stay for a few days. Heidi shows Clara her mountain life, and their bond strengthens, but someone else isn't happy about it. Peter becomes jealous and one day pushes Clara's wheelchair off a cliff. Consequences be damned. Everyone quickly realizes he is responsible. To ensure Clara's safety, Alpai starts staying with the children at all times. One day, Clara sees a butterfly and stands up to follow it. She struggles but manages to take small steps. With support from Heidi and Peter, she gradually improves. A few days later, Clara's father and grandmother return. When they see Clara standing unaided, they are overjoyed. Before leaving, Clara promises Heidi they will meet again. Her grandmother gives Heidi a diary and pen. In the final scene, Heidi tends goats with Peter like before. Alongside her chores, she now writes in her diary, fulfilling her goal of learning to read and write. And if you thought this story had heart and a happy ending, sorry, the next one is the exact opposite. In Hellbound, angels start appearing to deliver death sentences in broad daylight. Society spirals as people are dragged straight to hell by supernatural forces. And trust me, it only gets darker from there. Yeah, that one seriously messed with my head. Go see why. It's waiting for you on the screen now.